Good day, everyone. My name is Roldan Serafica, and this is Theoretical Foundation for Advanced Nursing Practice. My topic is The Theory of Human Becoming by Rosemarie Rizzo Parse. It's one of the major grand theories under unitary process paradigm. The theory was first published in 1981 and was titled Man-Living Health Theory. In 1992, the author changed the name to remove man in the title. She changed it to The Theory of Human Becoming because of the definition change in the dictionary from its former meaning. A short background for Rosemarie Rizzo Parse. She earned her doctorate degree from the University of Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania. She later then became the Dean of the College of Nursing at Duquesne University, from where she got her bachelor's degree. She is also the founder and editor of Nursing Science Quarterly, a peer-reviewed journal which devotes to the enhancement of nursing knowledge. She is also the president of Discovery International. It's an organization that offers consulting services for planning, presenting seminars. They also offer international sponsorship for nursing conferences. Parse's paradigm was a result of her synthesis from the works of European philosophers who believed in the principles of existential phenomenological thoughts, and her synthesis of Martha Rogers' theory, the science of unitary human beings. In Parse's theory, the nurses who believe in human becoming paradigm, they believe that the priority or primary concern is the people's or the person's perspective of living quality with human dignity. So actually the goal of the nursing practice is the quality of life from each own's perspective. It creates an opportunity for both the nurse and the patient, including the family of the patient, to reach a dimension of human experience and participate in multidimensional process of healing. There are three major assumptions of the human becoming theory. It was originally 9 assumptions when it was first published in 1981, but as the author revised the theory, she narrowed and simplified it to 3 major assumptions. I'd like to go over on the original 9 assumptions. In her 9 original assumptions from the 1981, she explained that human and universe are relative to each other, creating the reality. She explained that they are indivisible, you cannot separate them, and they are unpredictable because you cannot define human with the knowledge of a single part. She also explained that human and universe is perfect symphony. They are in tune to create the reality. The guiding principle of the theory is the human dignity, the noble bearing of immanent distinctness, and the value of human existence or personal existence. The last part of her 9 assumptions talk about the living quality of a person. It is the uniqueness and personal expression of human in terms of interaction with their environment. The adaptability of a person is the reason why Parse believes that you cannot label them, and because they have the ability to improve themselves in the level that is acceptable for them. This is the 4 key points of what the 9 assumptions explained. Human universe as a unitary, indivisible, unpredictable, and ever-changing. Person and environment are one. The nurse's priority in the practice is the person's own perspective of living quality with human dignity. And in this theory, you cannot label a person or a patient as a non-compliant because of the assumption that they have the ability to adapt or change and achieve the level of acceptable um, um, health or wellness that is acceptable for them. Here is the three major principle that was extracted from the 9 assumptions. So the first principle is the structuring of meaning using valuing, imaging, and languaging. She explained this principle using concepts and paradoxes. The concepts is the description of the phenomenon, and the paradoxes is how it's happening in reality. So in imaging, this talks about the how the patient view their reality. So nurses cannot objectively measure patients' view of the reality. So we explore with them to know about this concept. The paradox for valuing is to conform or not to conform. This is the patient's acceptance of belief in light of their personal perspective. The nurse's role in this concept is to find out what is most important perceived by the patient. The third concept is the languaging. This is where they express their image realities and valuing priorities. The nurse's role on this concept is actively reading the gestures, the actions, and the words of the patient. The second major principle from Parse's human becoming theory is the configuring of rhythmic patterns. This is how a person or a patient create ways to deal with outside forces. The first concept is revealing concealing. This talks about the co-creating pattern of the patients if they will be more cooperative with the nurse. So these concepts and paradox is linked to the intention of the nurse to co-create the moment. I think this is the pattern where you build the trust of the patient and the nurse creates the relationship. The second concept from the second major principle is the enabling, limiting, and the paradox of potentiating or restricting. This talks about possibilities, opportunities, and the consequences or obstacles along the journey of achieving whatever the goal of the patient. The nurse's role in this concept is to help the patient figure out the possible or the anticipated consequences and help them plan, giving the patients a head start. The third concept from the second major principle is the connecting separating concept. This concept explains that how can two people get very close yet separate from each other. You connect them in the way that when people is separated, they dwell on the absence of the other one. The example of this concept is when a loved one pass away, they grieve for the absence of their loved ones. The last major principle is contrascending with the possibles. This principle talks about the ability of the person to adapt with the changes. It was described by Parse, the illimitable mystery of person and the ever-changing whatness of becoming. this theory separate from other theory under the same paradigm. First concept under the third principle is the powering. This talks about the struggle of the patient, the life and the will to go on after rejection, after a loss of a family, loss of a loved one. So that's the first concept. The second concept is originating. Paradox is certainty versus uncertainty. This is a strive of the patient who want to be like other, yet they wanted to be unique. This concept and paradox also help the nurse and the patient to find out how they are going to be with their changing health pattern. The last concept on the third major principle is the transforming, and its paradox is the familiar and unfamiliar. This concept and paradox talks about the new discoveries of the patient, and people sometimes change their undertaking because of these new discoveries and change their health patterns. So the nurse's role in all of this is focuses on illuminating the meaning, and the nurse acts as a guide to choose possibilities in changing health experience. Also, understanding that human universe process involves a nurse true presence with the person and family. Understanding that the human universe process involves the nurse true presence and the patients and his family, and to not focus on changing the individual's behavior to fit the defined nursing process, or even to label the patient possibly erroneous nursing diagnosis. The theory of human becoming have been used by several author researchers like McLeod, Sorjan, Doucet, Hart, and Wilson was able to create some tools, some quality of life tools to enhance the practice. In terms of testability of the theory, there are a couple of researcher and author that use Parse's research method. One is Bauman and the second one is Doucet in 2013. Bauman used this method to study how older adults experience suffering, while Doucet used the method to discover the lived experience of feeling home in community-dwelling adults. The last part of my presentation is the importance of this theory in nursing science. The principal value of human becoming paradigm is the worldview that sees human as an intentional being, freely choosing to live within the paradoxical ways of being. It is a unique way to view health and gives some insight into how individuals create their own destiny. And the practice and research in the human becoming paradigm are quite different from those others espousing the other nursing perspectives by living through presence with their clients and co-create ways of being that enable choosing help. Thank you so much. This is Roldan Serafica, and this is the end of the presentation. Please scroll to the last slide to check for the references. Thank you. Bye.